Welcome to Inside Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue. On September 29th, Alice in Chains will release their highly anticipated new album, Black Gives Way to Blue. In advance of the release, Jerry Cantrell, Sean Kinney, Mike Inez, and William Duvall sat down with Metallica's James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich to give a behind-the-scenes look at the evolution of the band and the making of their brand new album. We now take you backstage to a tour stop in Knebworth, England, as we listen in to the meeting of the minds between the members of Alice in Chains and Metallica.
Here we are in
Knebworth.
Hallowed ground.
In the back of a semi with some gear.
Gear
that looks like mine and other members of Metallica's gear. This is our jam room, and we have Alice in Chains here celebrating giving birth to their new record, which is entitled Black Gives Way to Blue.
Killer.
It took me a while, like a whole minute, to figure out what that meant. At least in my mind.
Right.
What does that mean to you guys?
Well, we kind of were thinking about like what to call the record anyway, like in the middle of kind of making the thing. And I remember there were some phone calls made to I think I talked to Sean and Mike the same day. Or I think Sean called me. He's like, "What do you want to call the record?" And I'm like, "Black Gives Way to Blue." And he's like, "I was kind of thinking."
We're floating in your pool. I
was kind of thinking that too, you know. So we all kind of had been thinking it. So that was kind of a cool thing that happened. And of course, you know, it's a really intense song, and it's a really open-hearted song to Layne, you know, and to the experience that we went through, and kind of facing up to all of that stuff and owning it, owning all the good and owning all the bad, and moving forward together. You know, it was a lot of big steps, and you know, it kind of speaks to, like, you know, things were pretty black for us. You know, I mean, it's pretty literal to that too. You know, and things are starting to get a little lighter. You know, so yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Were there any other titles that you guys were considering for the record?
Rockety Rock was one of them.
You know what?
I was pushing hard for that.
Can we borrow that one if we run out of titles?
It's not too late to change, right?
No, it's not. We could probably go with that. I was pushing for that for a while, just Rockety Rock with a.
But Black Gives Way to Blue was so obvious; it just had to be that one.
Yeah, well, I mean,
so that was a song title first.
It was a song title first,
and then it highlighted the album. I mean, it seems like it captures the feel.
Mm-hmm.
The song is amazing. Yeah. The song's really cool.
It's way better than Brown Gives Way to Yellow.
But if you're ever
now you have a title for the acoustic album.
More than one thing, it really does.
It really does. You can really tie those together in a pinch, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
We didn't even introduce ourselves. James and Lars from Metallica with Alice in Chains here. All right.
Maybe you guys want to. Sean.
I'm Sean.
William.
Jerry.
And Mike.
There you go.
We were on the horn. That's word.
6 guys sitting around a table in a trailer.
Rock takes you to some weird places, doesn't it?
It was, this is very hallowed ground here. This is where Zeppelin played some of their most famous gigs.
About 30
Deep Purple,
years to
Queen,
the day.
Oasis, Rolling Stones played here with Lynyrd Skynyrd opening.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been it's a pretty sacred place.
Yeah.
So let's appreciate this moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I got an idea. Instead of us sitting here listening to each other talk,
We can jump on the instruments right now.
let's do it. Another world exclusive. So, Looking in View is the first track that you guys put up on your website, and the first track that people got a chance to hear. Why did you pick that one, and sort of how did that one come
real
around?
long. and we thought...
We haven't had a song out in 14 years.
Yeah, 14 years. And we just
the
thought,
longest one.
It's a big chunk of music to chew on. And
Like James said earlier, about 6 seconds into it, you realize it's Alice in Chains, and it sounds like right where you left off 14 years ago.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool, man.
It really is classic sounding Alice in Chains, and it's
Absolutely.
stuff that people have been waiting for a long time, including myself.
That's great.
And to hear it and just go, I got my Alice fix, man.
That's
it's
awesome.
feeling good.
That's cool, man. Thank you.
So here is a Looking in View, Alice in
Sounds
Chains.
So
All right then.
professional.
Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about, and everybody listening, how you guys, your last record came out in 95.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
How,
I know.
that's 14 years. So give us a synopsis of those 14 years, in a couple of sound bites, and what brought this whole moment that leads up to this trailer right now? How did it happen?
Well, it's pretty much, it's public knowledge about what happened to us and how the band kind of winded down. We kind of went off the rails there and kind of stopped touring with 2 #1 records back to back because, we were not in really good shape, and we tried to take time, and the plan was to try to focus on maybe living a little bit or trying to figure out, because things were really bad.
Yeah, the plan was to stop because I felt like I knew for a fact if we would have stayed out, there was death was imminent, and it wasn't just him. It could have been me, it could have been anybody. So we kind of pulled back from that, and the theory was kind of like collectively to try to get our act together so we could live and then move on, health first, and it worked out the way it worked out.
Let me ask you, we shared a summer together in '98, and at that point, would you consider Alice in Chains just kind of on hiatus, or was it something that you had walked away from?
I think it was. I wouldn't say we walked away from it. It's just.
It was on hiatus.
Yeah.
I'd emotionally had to pull out just to survive. Survival skills of for how things were. It was just way heavy. So I just I remember certain points for me, after Unplugged, and that was weird. You guys were there, but it was just so weird, and that we pulled that off, and I was just like, okay, I need to distance myself from this because it was really hard, And then we did that record, and that was another step of this is.
What was the first when you guys got back together? Was it the VH1 thing for Heart?
Right before
or was it
that.
the Tsunami thing?
We did the Tsunami
was
thing
that
in
the
Seattle.
first time since
we were out
the
with
acoustic
Wolf.
record?
Yeah.
Since the Unplugged thing that you did something as Alice in Chains, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Which was cool because it wasn't about us at all. It was about helping other people, so it didn't feel weird, but it was really heavy. It was super heavy. It's like,
Totally.
wow, it was, I was in a
I had a few
daze
brown
after
out
that.
moments where I had to tune out during that show.
And were you, William, were you there for that?
I didn't do the Tsunami.
Okay.
My first public event was the VH1 Heart show. And talk about jumping in the deep end. It was filmed in an arena for television, so it was kind of hello, But no, that was my first thing.
From the Tsunami benefit on, it was firm, well thought out steps, small steps. We get a firm footing. Okay, do we want to do some shows? Yes. Do we want to tour more? I think it was we did a world tour in 2006.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
24, 25 countries.
There's all these things that started to just kind of happen, by us being together, I think, you know what I mean? And there was no master plan to
and then do we want to write
on a
new
mission
material?
from God, we got to get the band back together, you know what I mean?
Do we want to write new material? Do we want to record new material? Do we want to mix it? Do we want to release it? These were all we didn't plan it, but they were well thought out as we went through it.
Sure.
It seems to me, obviously being around and seeing you guys in '06 when you guys played a bunch of shows with Metallica in Europe and stuff, seeing you with Velvet Revolver and so on, it seems like the record was something that you knew you were going to get to, but you had to go through some trial by fires and get out and play and spend time together.
I think we needed to gel as
reconnect
a
each
band.
other.
Just as we kind of forged something with our first meeting and then doing a lot of road work, we had to kind of forge something as a unit. So absolutely, the touring was necessary.
So All Secrets is the album opener.
Yeah. It's kind of
Tell us how that was chosen.
It's kind of a, if you want to think about your classic openers, it's kind of not one, but you know what I mean? It's a little more kind of open and drifty, and traditionally speaking, we've pretty much started our records off kind of intensely.
It's got a very different feel than the
it does,
opener
and
of the first
there was
three albums.
And there was some thought about maybe. First off, that song almost never got done. It was something that we almost let slip by, you know what I mean? But what is said in that song is pretty much what's going on here and what has gone on. The lyrics are really meaningful, and like you were talking earlier about ending the record with Black Gives Way to Blue and how perfect a period that is on that and what that says and what it means. There's really no other place on the record that song would live with what it's saying, So it might not be the traditional type, kick your ass opener, but what is being said there was the key to put it in the place that it is. So,
Elaborate just a little bit on what to you, what is being said there?
Well, it's basically Star Wars. Hope, a new beginning.
The second one, though.
Hope, a new beginning.
It is. That's funny. I didn't write it with that intent, but it's in my subconscious somewhere. So, but I mean, it just tells the story. Hope, a new beginning. Time to start living, like just before we died. You know what I mean? And that's
the first thing said on the record.
That's the first thing we say. And that's
then we cough up to that there's no going back to the place we started from.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, basically.
And also being completely open. Everybody knows everything that happened. All secrets known, man. There it is. You know, so
secrets are poison, man.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Inside Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue, with Jerry Cantrell, Sean Kinney, Mike Inez, and William Duvall. We now return to a backstage location in Knebworth, England, for an exclusive look at the new Alice in Chains release with your hosts, James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich.
Was there a particular point where you guys, the three of you guys, knew that William was the fourth member, the new member, the right fit? Was there one particular instance or something that you could share with us?
I think pretty much, if you really want to look for like a moment of as much as anyone can know to take on the type of challenge of all of us, William included, to take on this sort of a challenge, it might even have started in that rehearsal room, like Sean. There was like a moment there where we played a song.
I think Will came in and we weren't even sure if we wanted to, we didn't, we were just like, okay, let's get in a room after the tsunami thing and stuff and see what happened. So I came down to LA and Will came in and he'd been doing some of the songs with Jerry, and we all kind of know each other, and I think we jammed with a couple other people, and it was sort of like we didn't really, I wasn't feeling the whole, like at that point I think I was like, I don't want to do this, I'm not ready to, I have no interest in this. Will came in and I was like, well, what should we do? And I think somebody piped up and like love, hate, love.
I think
and I'm
he
like,
did. I think you
and I was like, good luck with that, and we played it and nailed it. And I remember just kind of feeling a little lighter and just probably said something like, guess we're done looking, I mean, like those moments when you're like, within 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm going home and walking the dog. Sure. I don't need to do this. And then
just give me. So this was after the tsunami thing, but before the Heart VH1.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like,
right.
It's okay. This might be okay. This is worth exploring, And I think that's enough for me, And then we just really, by taking those little steps and then going, okay, let's do one tour and say goodbye to, because we never got to, and then that kind of gelled. And then when you're doing that, you're not in the, we're not in there rehearsing Man in the Box backstage, So we, riffs start happening.
Yeah, we probably should.
So it just slowly kind of evolved. I mean, a year and a half ago, we weren't talking about making a record, and if the record, we would have done it, I would have been fine if we would have made that record and if we looked at it and said, it's good, I don't want to do it. And it's good, I don't want to do it. And I would have been cool with that and gone home, but it's just always felt right, and all these little signs and people like you guys and just saying it's okay.
So supportive,
it was like,
were you there, Mike?
Inspirational.
In the moment that he's talking about, how was it for you?
I was. We back then it was it was exciting, and we weren't sure we wanted to do this. We didn't have a master plan to get this far. Just to sit here and talking to you guys at Knebworth about a new Alice in Chains release is just amazing to me, just mind blower. For me, from where I'm standing on the right side of Will, every night, I mean, he's under a lot of scrutiny and pressure, and there's all this internet bullshit, the guy's under the microscope here, and I always told him at the get-go, you're just going to win him over one face at a time, one gig at a time, face to face is the only way he was going to sell this thing for himself, to stand up there with us. And that, to me, those moments when I'm on stage and I'm watching him up there with his foot on the monitor, looking him right in the eye and bringing it every night and just fearless about it, and that takes a lot of balls, and those moments to me are the ones that really
large sack.
Yeah, it's got a large sack.
I really thought it was gonna. I thought we were gonna catch way more. I was thinking. I was prepared for a complete storm. I was like, they're just gonna shred us all. And then it was 90-something% was open arms, like thanks, and that I wasn't prepared for that. I think
that also speaks to how much respect people actually have for you guys as a band and as individuals, not just your peers, but all the fans.
Yeah,
out there.
I was expecting it to be far worse,
right.
and so that was throwing me off too. I'm like, this is.
There's something wrong.
It was.
There's something wrong. It's not all bad.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm used to living in chaos and
you're
creating
right.
it,
You're
and it's
absolutely
not
right.
working out for me now.
All right. So the first single, Check My Brain.
Yeah.
I'll be first.
Definitely the hookiest of all the songs, I believe. The song is great and deals with, the word California in a song.
Yeah.
For me, it works.
Yeah. Well, it's
grew up in California. It rolls well. It rhymes well. It's a cool word to say. Even
there's a ton of California songs, and it's kind of the anti-California
Gotcha.
song. You know what I mean? And not in a bad way to California at all. It's just you guys know where I was and what I kind of went through, and things aren't really like that anymore. And I'm really glad that is changed, and the place it changed was in the place that I used to tear it up the most. So it's just kind of funny, the irony that
what role
the irony of
but let me stay with that for a second. What role, like LA, when you think back on those years, you've had a bunch of great years now, you've had some darker years.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about LA's role in both of those.
Well, one is just the actual geography of the place. I don't mind waking up every day and having it be 80 degrees and roll out with a coffee and a smoke and have a swim to start my day. That's pretty cool. That's quite a different start from a Seattle day most of the time. So
it's a mood enhancer for sure. The weather is a mood enhancer.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me, and the message isn't like an anti-California thing or whatever, or it could be any place. The whole message to the thing is like whatever you are and whatever you bring whatever you are wherever the hell you are, And,
but do you feel that, I guess, do you feel that LA is a part of the incredible turnaround that you made in your life?
I think so. I met a lot of really great people there and made a lot of friends that are also musicians.
Do you think you could have done it in Seattle?
Well, it really doesn't matter where I did it. It just happens to be that's where it was, and I still live there, and it's just kind of a weird thing to me once in a while, and that I'm totally cool being there. It's like, it to some extent, like I said, you can take yourself wherever you are, and you're going to get what you get. But LA is one of those towns that is like the belly of the beast. It's like the ex bad gambler that decides to live in Las Vegas and he doesn't gamble anymore, and he's okay with it. It's just that weird dichotomy of
you find a lot of people you find a lot of people in hell that want to get out of hell.
Yeah.
So you find camaraderie.
Sure.
And
without a doubt.
As the old saying goes, if you find yourself in hell, keep going.
LA is really the acid test. In so many ways. It's like I think it does a number on anybody that spends any length of time there. I've lived there 9.5 years now, and it's it's just a wild place, man. And I think that song, Check My Brain, certainly again comes from a personal experience, but has a lot of universality to it, for sure.
Right on. So here it is, right?
Here it is.
Check My Brain.
So, Jerry, your decision is sort of the first lighter moment on the record. The first 3 songs are pretty dark and heavy, and your decision comes along and kind of lightens the mood a little bit. Traditionally, and disagree with this, please, but it seemed like on your first couple of records, there was the heavier records, and then there was the EPs that have more,
the acoustic stuff,
that had more the lighter stuff, and it seems on this record you're balancing it
There's
all up on
and
this has a little bit of the EP acoustic vibe to it.
Without a doubt.
Was it conscious? What did you just feel that you wanted to kind of mix the two back together on one record, or how did this come about?
I think we We had a lot of material. I mean, I think we started out with about 30 ideas that we weeded into about 18 that we actually took into the studio, and then the 11 made the record. So as far as like, it was basically just kind of living with all of that stuff and kind of standing everything up with each other. And you guys know, man, putting the running order of a record together, that's so critical, man. Like what follows what and all of that, and also what's speaking to everybody as a whole. There's going to be disagreements. You know, some guy might not really like one song and three other guys are really down with it, you know what I mean? And we try to operate in a way where, you know, I mean, where nobody's going to be dissatisfied with something that represents them on a record, you know? So it just kind of ended up working out that way. I mean, and it's kind of a cool thing because, like you said, it is kind of maybe a broader mix of a lot of things that we've done individually on records. You know, like we've really focused on the acoustic element on both of the EPs, but there were also some acoustic elements on some of those records too. But this one, like you said, has a pretty good blend of it, and there wasn't really I can't say that there was an intention. It just, that's what it kind of boiled down to being. And as far as like the running order, you know, I mean, that took a while. Sean worked on it really hard, and Nick, the producer, had some good ideas, and we all kind of there was a couple of things which were kind of easy to set. You know, Black Gives Way to Blue is last. We know that. So you get a couple of songs placed where you think they need to go, and then you fill in the holes. But also that's got to be filled in by the strongest songs, I guess. So
for me, what I like about your decision is that the album's so dense. There's a lot of tracks and a lot of you know, there's a lot of heaviness and a lot of tracks, and your decision kind of strips it down. It gives it some time to breathe.
That's what I actually
move.
wanted to ask. When I've been listening to the record the last couple of days, one thing that strikes me, and I didn't go back and reference the first three records, but I don't remember your records being that dense.
Wimpy?
Dense.
Oh, dense.
Is in terms of there's so much layering going on, so many cool guitar parts that come and go and left and right and this and harmonies and octaves, and I mean, I'm just trying to find all of it, and is that, am I right in that? Would you say that when I listened to the earlier records were a little more stripped down and a little more
maybe
there wasn't as many parts going on? And is that something, and how did that come about? Was that sort of
probably just being overindulgent, I guess? I mean, a big part of the plan was Nick. You know, Nick was really important in this record, and I really have to give him a lot of credit, man, because
Nick Raskulinich.
Because we came in with, you know, we do what we do, and for all intents and purposes, we work with some great producers, but we never really needed a whole lot, you know what I mean? And you and I have had a conversation with Mr. Rock about that, and he got a little offended about a conversation that we had. But particularly, we've always been pretty good at least kind of dialing in what we want, and we have had the songwriting and all of that, and so it wasn't really necessary for a guy to get super involved in like parts and arrangements and stuff like that. And in this particular process, he had probably more freedom than anybody that we work with, and he had such great ideas and was just so enthused about it, man.
That's the thing, positivity that he brought, the energy, the gung-ho. I mean, he would come into rehearsals just air drumming, air guitaring, getting in my face and screaming, you know, and just, he was just so proactive, and he did come with a lot of ideas on top of that enthusiasm. So there was a focus brought to this thing, and this is obviously a very intense kind of process that we had to go through to make this thing. There's a lot of emotions being dealt with, and what could have been a completely tense, completely fraught experience was actually made a lot lighter and more functional because he had a vision about tone, sounds, layering, all of that stuff, and you're correct in saying that this is probably the largest record that we've ever done as far as using all of that stuff, but that was an intention of his. He wanted to take it there, and that's a place that we've operated. We've always layered stuff. Tracks,
but it seems so cool. And one of the first things I told you back in May when you initially played me the record, that everybody seems over the years to want to try to strip down their sound,
Sure.
to try to narrow it, to try and make it more about making it lively in the studio. And what's so refreshing to my ears about this record is this sounds like a big rock record, and there's so much going on. And I've heard the record 5-6 times now. I'm still hearing new things and new parts, and I mean, it's really, there's just so much there. And with Randy Staub mixing it just sounds like a big, fat, throbbing rock record, instead of let's try to underplay what we have. It's more like let's try to be proud of what we have and what we're capable of.
I think on a base level too, spiritually, that we're not picking up where the Dog record left off. We got 14 years of life experiences. We've grown into men.
That's a good point.
We a lot of people are expecting Dirt Part 2 or something, and this is really representative. I mean, all these songs on this record, it's a pretty good cut of cordwood there. It's a good cross section of the whole thing, and I think it's just a sign of growth, really.
Yeah,
and that's a central theme of the whole record too. I mean, it was a long, like my friend Jerry Cantrell says, it was a long road to get here, and we got a lot of miles to go.
Yeah.
But I mean, not to be too forward thinking, but this gets me excited about the next Alice in Chains record. Now that we blew out all of this out of our brains,
Mike, we have to put this one out first. So, I know you're excited, but I mean,
and then the next one I want to play drums.
Time to change has come and gone.
We're back with Inside Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue. Let's head back to Knebworth, England with Jerry Cantrell, Sean Kinney, Mike Inez, and William Duvall, and your hosts, James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich.
As far as writing lyrics, William, do you find it strange to sing someone else's lyrics? Can you get behind it as much?
Well, it's an interesting thing because I never really did it, and so this is the first time really doing that, and I dig it because I like the tunes, I mean, there's a song on there called Acid Bubble that I think is like, okay, like I didn't write that, but that's one of those things that, I can't deny the purity of that, you know what I mean, and the heaviness of that. So it's like, truth is truth, and I'll relate to it on that level, and we'll go into it that way. And it's similar to even on the older songs, the catalog songs, I mean, a tune that might be really personal to Layne or really personal to him. Layne sang those songs with a lot of conviction, Rooster and so forth. I come to that stuff singing a song like Dirt or Junkhead with my own experience, because the feelings behind those lyrics are universal. The impetus for writing them may be extremely personal, but that's the beauty of music. That's the power of it. It's all the blues to me, and I know a thing or two about the blues. I'm a blues person, literally. So it's like, that sense of otherness that Layne is singing about in a song like Junkhead, like, man, I don't even want what you guys are serving up. I'm going to form my own party over here. I dig that. You know what I mean? My solution may be different, but the feelings behind it, that sense of like, get away and I'm doing my thing, or the sense of otherness. You can't grow up black in America without knowing a sense of otherness. I get that, and I manifest it in my way,
I love what you're saying, because even for me, the old songs we go back and sing from our catalog, I don't feel the same. They morph with you like a tattoo. It meant this when I got it. Now it means something else, but it's related to me now. And you can always kind of find comfort in that.
It takes a whole band filter, it really does, to kind of get whatever this band is. They're and
Totally.
And it's something I would depend on and rely on. And I think that's why you get the type of music that you get, because everybody has to stand behind it, even if it isn't necessarily a completely personal thing. a lot of it is pretty personal to everybody because we kind of write close to home. And
There's a lot of simpatico there,
Yeah.
and we've all been through a lot
Jesus
of similar
Christ,
stuff.
We've known each other for a long
Right.
time, man. I've known him for 10 years. I've known you
Right.
for like 18, Sean 22. You know, it's like, that's a long time.
And the truth is, even if you write something, you don't necessarily know what it means. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think...
I do. I think. I don't know what you mean.
But, so it's like, it's not even about explanation at all, like either giving one or receiving one. It's really just about letting these feelings come through.
Sure.
There's a song in there, Last of My Kind. I wrote that in about 20 minutes at his house. I don't know really what that means.
And I've never asked
I
you
know
about
how
it.
it makes
It's
me
just right.
feel,
Yeah.
Right on.
but I couldn't give you some breakdown.
You can't
some
deny
thesis on it.
songwriting like that. You
Right.
just can't.
Yeah.
Right.
This segues into the next song we want to play, which is Last of My Kind.
Sure.
Which
Yeah.
is, you were talking a little bit about,
Right.
you had a pretty big role in writing that.
Yeah, I had one line. It was so young, so brazen, so unholy. The first line in that song. That's all I had, and I was like, "Well, it's something, It's a start." And so I get there to his house, go in the room. I was like, "I got nothing, dude," But I'm kind of feeling this one track here. So why don't I just lock me in this room for a minute and see what happens? And I sat there, and this tune just came out. It happened right then and there, complete, like literally about 45 minutes later, the thing was sung, done.
I went and played a couple of games of Madden, and he did that.
Yeah.
That's what it was about,
Yeah.
about an hour or two,
something like
and he
that.
had that tune together.
Like
so.
recorded, done.
I think it's pretty cool that that song particularly, it's special moment for Will too. You get to, that's the one song on the record you actually get to be a lead vocalist and take the ride the horse, whip the horse there.
Step
Yeah.
out front, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good, it's a crushing tune, man, and the vocals are really, really amazing on that, and lyrically it's really cool too, And again, like I said, it doesn't matter that I know exactly what you're talking about.
Or that I do.
I know what you're talking about.
I mean, exactly. I know what it means to me.
Hell, half the
but-
time I don't even know what the hell I'm writing about.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, really.
That's the beauty of it all, man.
I don't.
So you can take this for what it is, Take it for what you want it to be.
So next one is Acid Bubble. That to me,
Love that one.
dude, the riff. I mean, there's the riff, dude. I had
That's
to
a
rewind
fat
that about 20 times. First to learn it, and then and then just to hear it because it just jumps in your face, man.
Right.
That as a guitar player, it's like, hello.
And then
Riff.
one more time.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end
yeah, yeah.
Of a 7-minute
What did Grohl
song.
say? He goes, really?
That's what he
When
said.
it changed, he just looks at us. He goes, really? Yeah, that's what you're gonna do right there. Like, yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, that's
He
basically
did.
what's
Yep.
going on.
I'm glad you did that, man. It's giant. It's giant.
And Sean, you said Grohl, obviously Dave Grohl. What you guys tracked most of this?
About
album
half
in
of
his
it. Well,
studio?
we at the
Pretty much
606.
And how
everything
did that
except for
come
some
about?
vocals and guitars.
Yeah.
How did that come about? I mean, is it?
Nick's a part owner of the studio.
Gotcha.
He's a partner with him too. And Dave said, "Dude, you got to use my studio." Which
I was
is
kinda-
kick-ass,
I-
man. It's really cool.
I was kind of thinking that song was going to be something we'd work on maybe for the next record because it was so late in the process, but it just kind of happened.
So Grohl was there.
He'd come in and out. It's his place. He'd Big
Clubhouse.
Cheese Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
He'd roll in and out, but it's
To comment on your record.
Yeah.
Really, you're gonna do that? Okay, well, it's
He
your
has
record.
the key.
And
He
why
has
is he
to lock
smoking a
up when
pipe?
you're done.
yeah.
Cool thing about Nick too is he had some great gear, old gear and cool tape machines, old basses, old amps, and it was really it's like going shopping at a cool mall. You just walk in, let me try that.
Yeah,
Let's
it
try
was
this.
He also just every record he does, like he did a Cocaine and Cambria record and a Foo Fighter record. He doesn't.
Rush.
He's not one of those producers that has his sound. So like every
Right.
band he does kind of sounds the same. So he just it's completely different. Everything he does is completely different for each band, and he just tries to get those bands, and he changes the mics and where they record and everything that's fitting to what you do. And on this one, we tried it different. Nick was really adamant about, like to get the drums isolated. They did stripes, and then there was a click track, and then I went in and played and did all the drums first, which is kind of weird for me. I hadn't made a record in a long time, but it was cool because it was different. And then at the end, I really enjoyed it. But then it's, they redo all their, so they're like on there wanking off, and and I have to play to it, and they're like, at the end they're like laughing, and I have to hear this, but still it was pretty quick,
Pretty inspiring, huh?
Yeah, pretty inspiring. At first you're like, it's funny on the second take, and by like the seventh run of a song, because we'd play them all the way through. It wasn't like play a verse and do this.
The seventh take of like hearing us back talk. Well, he's not really hitting that fill there.
Yeah, and so I think it went fairly quick, but we did a few more songs and they're on the record. So
we wanted a performance record, though. We didn't,
Yeah, Nick's
tried
that way
to keep
too.
it
So
there.
there was no like, we're going to punch you in here. He's like, just start it over. But
that was great, man. Now do it again.
Yeah,
Gotta hit
that
this
kind of
guy.
shit. There was ones like I'd do them 4 or 5 times. He's like, dude, you got it. I don't know.
Great drum room too, I gotta say. That place they built.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
a great live room.
It's Dave Grohl's place.
Yeah, I mean, hello.
So he's going to build
What
like
are
a
you
sheet
gonna-
drum room.
Yeah, exactly.
We're back to wrap up Inside Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue. Let's rejoin the band with your hosts, James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich.
The title track. I sunk right into that song right away.
Right.
Black Gives Way to Blue. And so Elton John played on that.
He did. How weird is that?
I know that he was a big inspiration for you
Definitely.
growing up.
Big time.
With melodies and just musically.
Songwriting, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how
So
was it kind of meeting your
It was
inspiration?
it was pretty intense. I mean, I had met him once before, and I think Sean had met him a couple of times. We have some friends that kind of work in their camp that used to work on ours, so there's a little bit of a connection there. And my guitar tech Tim had actually played a little piano bit on the demo version or whatever, and we were trying to decide whether we were even going to have piano on the version. And I think our buddy Baldy Todd, who's been with us forever. We're like, who should we have play piano? And he's like, why don't you call Elton John? And I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll get right on that. I'll just call Elton up,
Hey, El, what's up?
Well, Todd used to work for Elton, so Tim,
Right.
he said no, he'd probably maybe do something like that. So we're like, yeah, whatever. So we still tried, and he actually got the song, and he understood what it was about, and he kind of connected with it, and he came and did it.
Were you guys there when he was tracking it?
Yeah.
That was even
Kind
weirder.
of weird too, like directing him how to do it. Maybe try a little more here, Elton. Take a little out there. It's like
I think that song, the perfect spot on the record, and I think the perfect length. Nice and short.
Yeah.
And it's just, here you're left with this feeling.
Right.
Was it always that short?
It was, and actually, he commented about that when he was recording with us. He's like, "Man, you should extend the solo and turn this into a bigger thing." And I'm like, "No, man, it's perfect the way it is."
I think so too.
Kind of a thing, kind of a thing that I really like about it is that it is so brief and to the point, and it kind of, for me, and I probably for maybe the guys too, it's kind of like. His life. It was really to the point and brief, and it made sense to me in that way too. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the record and in that song that it is specifically to him. But there's a lot of other things in there too, from us, feelings. Any one of us could have been that guy too. That could have happened to any one of us. You guys know us. We rolled really hard, man. And
I worked pretty good at it.
It's we're pretty lucky to even be here. All of us. So
And we've all lost people.
Yeah.
We've all lost different people who were extremely dear to us, and people whose lives were cut way too short. So, that song will have a universal appeal, absolutely.
That is the title track, Black Gives Way to Blue, off the new release from Alice in Chains, which is available in stores and online as of September 29th. You've been listening to Inside Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue. This program was produced by Michael Parrish for FMQB Productions. The executive producer is Fred Dean. Special thanks to James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Metallica, Mike Gillies, Sue Tropio, and everyone at Q Prime Management, Velvet Hammer, Susan Silver Management, Virgin Records, Rich Van Slyke Productions, and Mike Bacon. For more information on Alice in Chains, please visit AliceInChains.com. This has been the Alice in Chains Radio Network. Thanks for listening.